Hey, what is going on, everyone? This is Roaming Prepper Channel. I'm your host, Pete. Today, I'm going to do my Monday situation report, which I pretty much do every Monday afternoon. For those of you who are new, the format is as follows. It goes by regions of the world in alphabetical order, followed by countries in alphabetical order in each region. This is mostly OSINT information. Where it is available, I will give you the source of the report so you guys can do your own homework if you so decide to do so. So, starting this week, Africa, Côte d'Ivoire, or the Ivory Coast, sees unusual flow of refugees fleeing Mali violence from Reuters. Ivory Coast said it is strengthening security along its northern border in response to unusual refugee flows thought to be caused by arms groups' attacks on civilians in neighboring Mali, which is battling a jihadi insurgency. Now, right now, Nigeria, the Congo, Côte d'Ivoire, I'm not saying that right, and I think Ethiopia are all fighting Islamic insurgencies, and they're very violent insurgencies. Right now in the Sudan, if I'm correct, they are slaughtering Christians, like a slew of them, to where, and you're not seeing any of this in the news. So apparently when they kill Christians, that's okay. You kill anyone else, everyone's up in arms. I just don't understand. But in any case, yeah, there's a lot of that here. And then when these things happens, you get big swaths of refugees get displaced, and it causes problems for other country. Ethiopia, speaking of that country, investigates possible outbreak of new viral hemorrhagic fever after 8 people are infected. This is the Associated Press. African health authorities on Thursday confirmed a possible outbreak of an unidentified viral hemorrhagic fever in southern Ethiopia that is under investigation after 8 suspected cases are reported. That's a nasty illness, so that's definitely something we want to keep an eye on. Mali sees record surge in foreign kidnappings by jihadist groups. This is from Africa News. Mali is facing a dramatic escalation in insecurity as jihadist groups have carried out a record number of kidnappings targeting foreigners this year. At least 22 to 26 foreign nationals were abducted between May and October. And when you're traveling, this is something very important. When I'd go overseas, I not only let State Department know I was going to be in country, my company knew. My company has people that will retrieve guys like me if they need, at least in my old position. But also I'd reach out to the local, basically security chief or station chief at the embassy of that country. And I'd ask him, hey, what's the ground situation there? Another thing I do, I go on Google Earth, especially like I'm going to Buenos Aires or I'm going to, I don't know, whatever country. And I put the little dude on Street View on the Google app, and I can look and see what the people are wearing, right? I can't change the color of my skin or what I look like, but I can look at what the people are wearing. So if everyone's wearing, you know, like in South America, guayaberas, short sleeve button down shirts, or maybe business suits, you know, because it's a very Spanish and Italian influenced culture in Argentina, I'm going to dress the same way. If I look and they're dressing very different from the way I normally do, I need to adjust accordingly. I won't wear military style t-shirts with the US flag on it. Nothing with, you know, any kind of verbiage on the chest in English or Spanish or anything. It'll be plain gray, blue, white t-shirts, button shirts, jeans. I will do running shoes or hikers, business shoes, depending on where I'm going. But this is something important because you can stand out too much. Even like my popular baseball hat, which I always wear a cap wherever I'm going because I have no hair and don't want to sunburn my head. When I go overseas, I actually have a fedora, or I wear like a little, like a Peaky Blinders style hat with my suit. It looks more European. It looks more not American. So just something important to keep in mind there. Blending into the color palette of wherever you're going is important. Anyway, moving on. East Asia Pacific, Australia and China. Australia at risk of high impact sabotage from China, says the spy chief. This is according to BBC. Australia's spy chief says hackers linked to the Chinese government and military are targeting the country's critical infrastructure, warning the country was increasingly at high risk of a high impact sabotage. That's scary. Something else we may need to discuss later. Landslides in Indonesia. This is Indonesia. Java Island leave 3 dead, 20 missing, according to the Associated Press. Indonesian rescuers were searching Friday for people who went missing in landslides triggered by a torrential rain in Indonesia's Java Island. Again, you're traveling weather patterns, right? Europe. Finland, Russia. Russian Sukhoi 30 fighter jet crashes near Finland border. Both pilots are killed, according to United 24. Russian Sukhoi 30 series fighter crashed in the Republic of Karelia on November 13th, with both crew members confirmed dead. One of the problems with war, even if Russia doesn't want to escalate despite all the politicians running their mouths, is accidents happen. Miscalculations happen. A rocket or a drone is deployed and it has a malfunction and it hits the wrong country. The more military units and more angry, puffed up situations you have in adjacent proximity to one another increases the chance of a mistake. And it doesn't have to be deliberate. I know my tinfoil hat friends will be like me and be like, I think they did that on purpose. Sometimes it's just stupidity. Somebody screwed up. They entered the wrong coordinates. They didn't control the missile or the drone right. Things like that scare me because that can cause an unintended escalation, which would be ugly for everyone. United Kingdom, weather warning says Spain's storm Claudia reaches UK on Friday. The risk of flooding in parts of England and Wales as storm that has battered Canary Islands makes land. Middle East, North Africa, Iran. Iran's dual reality. As veil restrictions ease, political crackdown deepens, according to Reuters. On Tehran's bustling streets, signs of change are unmistakable, but beneath the surface, a dark reality is unfolding. Iran's clerical rulers are intensifying a crackdown on political dissent to instill fear and prevent unrest. I personally think the president currently doesn't want to get involved in that, but I do believe there are powers that want regime change in Iran. We'll see how that goes. Israel-Palestine. Israeli forces to uproot olive trees and seize Palestinian land in Qalqilia, according to Arab News. Israeli forces issued 2 military orders on Thursday to uproot olive trees and confiscate land in the eastern part of the Palestinian city of Qalqilia, located on the northern West Bank. Moving on, South Central Asia, Bangladesh. Violence in Bangladesh as topple Hasina Party protest crackdown trial. Al Jazeera. Bangladesh has been hit by a wave of violence before a court verdict due against the toppled longtime Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, with her party calling for a nationwide lockdown to protest the case. Pakistan says it has arrested 4 militants over involvement in suicide bombing at Islamabad courts. According to the Associated Press, Pakistan on Friday announced the arrest of 4 militants over the alleged involvement in a deadly suicide bombing outside a district court in the capital. Now, moving on to the Western Hemisphere. Indigenous protesters block entrance to COP30 climate summit in Brazil, according to Reuters. Dozens of indigenous protesters blocked the front of the COP30 summit review in Brazil on Friday morning, staging a sit-in that forced delegates to use a side entrance. Canada's spy agency says it foiled potentially lethal threats by Iran, according to Reuters. Canada's domestic spy agency said this year foiled potentially lethal threats by Iran directed against people whom Tehran sees as enemies. There might have been targeted attacks. Iran has gone after several people in Texas who are dissidents or journalists of Iranian citizenship who immigrated here because of persecution. They actually, I believe, killed one, and she knew she was being chased. Like, she even said it out openly on the news locally that, yeah, someone's after me. And about a week later, they found her shot. So, of course, no one was ever found. No one heard a bullet go off. They found her dead at like dinner time. So people are out walking their dogs, and she was found with 3 bullets in her. So that sounds like a hit, but that's just me. Chile, lost my place here. Ecuador. As crime surges, Ecuador to vote on return of foreign military bases. Ecuadorians grappling with a surge of violent crime will head to the polls on Sunday to decide whether to allow the return of foreign military bases, which President Daniel Noboa says are essential to fighting organized crime, and whether they back that deployment. So that's interesting. And I'll bet you the US of A is going to be one of the first bases there. Mexico. China tightens exports of fentanyl precursor chemicals to Mexico, and that's from Mexico News Daily. The Chinese government has taken a significant step towards curbing the flow of fentanyl precursor chemicals between China and North America, announcing the export license are now required to export 13 drug-making chemicals to Mexico at the request of the U.S. So definitely an interesting report this week. And I gave you most of the sources there. Keep in mind, folks, when you're traveling, it's important to fit in with the locals. Typically, if you're in a business suits, button-down shirts, ties, ladies' dresses, slacks, blouses. That's pretty much everywhere, even in the Middle East. Women can, other than the hijab, business attire is typically just fine. But it's important, one, so you don't offend our host nation, but also two, so you fit in. And the same thing goes for unrest here in the US. If everyone on the street, the cops are wearing black and Tifa's wearing black, you don't want to go out in neon green, right? You're going to stand out like anyone's business. You want to fit into the color palette of the area, of the experience, whatever the experience you are getting is. So folks, whatever the situation is, try to blend in. That's the whole gray man concept. Don't dress in all gray, you'd look retarded, but dress to match the color palette of the occasion. Anyway, folks, do your homework before you make trips, and that's it for this situation report. Thank you for joining me once again. I will try to get my videos back on some kind of semi-coherent schedule, hopefully at least for a couple of weeks. But in any case, all of you be good, be safe, have a great start to your week, and I will see all of you on my next video. You guys take care.